Welcome to Puzzled and Chatty, the Canadian edition, with me, Adam Gray, where I talk with people in the jigsaw and speed puzzling world and hear their stories and thoughts on this growing competitive activity and the puzzle community. In this episode, I sit down with a very well-known puzzle influencer, whether she is on land or at sea. She's puzzled about everything. She is Monica Marlatt. We'll talk about how she decided post-retirement to step into the puzzle influencing world, her support from her family, learning about new technology, running puzzle events on cruise ships all over the world, and the positive impacts on their families and individuals who participate, and more. So pull up a chair and pick a puzzle off the shelf to do while you listen to two people who are puzzled and chatty. Hello and welcome to another episode of Puzzled and Chatty, the Canadian edition. I am here with another magnificent guest. Thank you for joining me, Monica.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited about our little puzzle chat.
I'm very excited as well. And this one is going to be different than I think all the rest we've had so far because it's still puzzling, obviously, but a completely different topic than I've covered with anybody else. So I'm excited to talk about different aspects of puzzling in general.
All right, let's see where it goes.
So we have lots to get through with it, but I start with the same question with everybody that is on here, where it's when did you start puzzling?
I started more puzzling when my kids left and I became an empty nester. I had lots of time and I didn't know what to do, and puzzles filled that void for me.
Okay, so not as a child, it was just later on.
It was later on. I really thought about this when my husband and I got married pre-kids. I think maybe we did 2 or 3 puzzles together, which was fun. When I raised my kids, yes, I did a lot of puzzling with my children. And when they left and I had time, I was like, yeah, I did like puzzling when we did it. And that's how it all came about.
And do you remember what one of the first puzzles were that kind of launched everything that you're doing now?
That I'm doing now.
Like one of the ones that like when your kids first moved
The
out.
first, when the kids first started out, actually, I can't remember the puzzles that I did. Is like whatever I could get my hands on. I probably bought 2 or 3, and then I joined the swap group, and we started trading, and then we started doing some meetups, and then we had the pandemic, and the pandemic definitely changed things for me. That's when I started getting puzzles from puzzle brands, and I'd be making puzzles for puzzle brands for my content, as well as showing people, hey, there's other puzzles out here, because with the pandemic, people couldn't get their puzzles on the shelf. They were a small brand, like somebody reinvented themselves. They lost their job. They're like, hey, puzzles are trending. Let's start a puzzle company. So people started sending me puzzles. I remember the first puzzle I got sent to me. And that was a aha moment for me. I was like, oh, maybe I do have a presence. I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go into your various social media platforms, but which are very interesting to follow. To kind of launch into that direction, where can people find your content?
They really just have to type in puzzled about everything. Like my platform is Instagram. I like it there. I understand that platform. I've tried YouTube. I applaud you for doing it. I tried it. I found it hard for me because you have to film differently and the editing. I sometimes I post on TikTok. I do have my website, but generally, if you just do a Google search with puzzled about everything, something will come up with my name. Just because I've been doing some interviews. I've had some articles written about me, and the universe will find you.
Yeah. Yes, there is quite a bit out there, and the links to all the social media accounts will be in the description below, so feel free to go and check those out. But Instagram is definitely the one I would start
Yeah.
with. There is a lot of interesting stuff that you're doing, which we are definitely going to be talking about. Now, you mentioned that the pandemic kind of started to change things, and I think that that's the case when it comes to a lot of puzzlers, whether they're speed puzzlers or general puzzlers or content makers, whatever it might be. It was if some positive stuff that came out of all those lockdowns and everything else, it would have been that the puzzle community exploded
Mhm.
from that. So without that, I wouldn't be doing all of this. So there's stuff,
There.
there's silver linings and everything with it. What did you notice? And but before we get into all the stuff that you do with puzzles, whether it's on land or at sea or on Instagram, social media, what did you kind of notice about the Canadian puzzle community in general?
Now, during the pandemic,
Back then.
back then, well, again, I was new to puzzling, and our community swap groups were just starting, which was great. It was a great platform on Facebook. It was a great platform to trade puzzles. You could buy puzzles, so there was another group that came up to buy puzzles, and then with the pandemic, we got a lot of boutique brands coming. So all of a sudden you're just like, well, wait a minute. I paid like $45 plus shipping to get this. I'm not going to sell it for $5. So another puzzle group came out, and it was for more, elegant puzzles, I'll say. So those three groups are still thriving. And then you'll see on Facebook, lots of other subgroups have formed from that. They weren't necessarily there during the pandemic. Those puzzling groups, and they're still there, and they're on Instagram as well. I'm always amazed. Talk chatty, all the puzzle talk. I try to not go into that just because you get consumed by it. But the friendships that have been made by those groups, that I don't remember everybody's name. Shame on me. I just might know their username, but I'm looking at the bonds that people have made through those groups. I go, this is pretty good. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun to watch this develop and what has happened over the last few years.
Yeah.
When did you launch your? We're going to focus on the Instagram page because I think that's where most of your stuff primarily is. When did you decide to launch a puzzle themed Instagram?
Great question. My girls, I have three girls. When I started, like they don't live near me, and you worry about your parents when you move out. You're like, are you guys okay? Like my husband's older than I am. He's 75, and so they're always calling and checking in on us. And they're like, oh, I did a puzzle today, and they're like, oh, Mom, that's so great. I'm glad you found something to do. And I'm going to say, after about a week of puzzling every day and sending them a picture of my completed puzzle, very politely, they said, Mom, we have full-time jobs, we have careers, we have a life. We cannot applaud every puzzle you do. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, what should I do? And under their suggestion, they said, set up an Instagram account. And I went, I don't even know what that is. And they're like, Google it. So I did. And then I started my tutorials. I know you think I'm very tech savvy, but I do a lot of tutorials. I'm always learning. And if I did some funny reel or something and you liked it, I guarantee you I couldn't do it again. I'd have to take the tutorial again to redo it. So I started posting on Instagram, and it makes me laugh because my girls always like it every day. I go, well, you're still looking at my puzzles every day. It's just on a different platform instead of me sending it to you. So we always joke about that. But that is how I started on Instagram. And I did like Instagram over Facebook just because you just had to put a picture on it. And then the community on Instagram started changing in that people just didn't post a picture on their posts. They would give a big description about the puzzle, like you're doing the reviews and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, I like this because I didn't have to write. But that definitely came out in the pandemic where people really started to write a lot about the individual puzzle that they just posted. And then shortly after that, the pandemic happened. And like I mentioned before, puzzle brands couldn't get their puzzles out there. So they went on Instagram and they looked for some people that had sort of a large following. I'm going to say maybe I had 2,000 people back then. Back then, that was a lot of people. And they would say, hey, can we send you a puzzle? And would you post about it? And from that moment, my world changed. We get a lot of puzzles. We really try to be mindful with a turnaround time when we get it. I decline some puzzles now just because I would not get it done in a timely manner, just because we do have a second, I'll call it gig now, that we do with puzzling, where we cruise and we take our puzzles on board. And there is no opportunity for me to build a puzzle and then post about it. It's all about, the puzzling events that I do. So that is my little story of how I got onto Instagram.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning you are now at over 17,000 followers on your Instagram page. That is a lot. You essentially fall into the official category of puzzle influencers once you're up at those types of numbers. There are not going to be many other puzzle themed Instagram pages that are at that high of a number. There's some people that come to mind that yes, they're
Right.
up there, but overall, you're definitely going to be quite high up on that on that list. Did you think at any point when your daughters said start an Instagram page, or did your daughters ever think at some point a few years down the line you're going to be at 17,000 followers following
No,
you doing your puzzles?
no, I think when I got 5,000 and then 10,000, 10,000 was a big number, because in the general scheme of things on Instagram, you're in a small percentage, like 1 or 2% of people only get 10,000 followers. That was a big deal for me, and I remember sending it in my group chat with my family. I said, "Can you believe I have 10,000 followers?" And my girls are like, "Mom, you're incredible!" And they encourage me, and they're like, "You go, girl," and it's wonderful. And what's funny about that is when they go out to a party or they meet somebody new, or let's say they're at a team meeting and you have to say some icebreaker thing. I am the icebreaker story that I'm their go-to story. They'll go, "Do you know what my mom does?" And they're like, "No," and they'll go, "She's a puzzle influencer." So it makes me happy that they're so proud of what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's quite the milestones that you've been hitting, and part of it's going to be timing. Like you did start it before
Yeah.
all the other puzzle, a lot of the other puzzle, including mine, puzzle
Mm-hmm.
accounts started showing up. So there's a huge benefit to that. But I think it also is a good example that regardless of stage of life, whatever it might be, retirement or just out of university, whatever it might be, you never know what's going to happen when you start something. So if there's people that are getting close to retirement age, here's a prime example of
I
you never
am.
know.
I am. I know I'm doing other podcasts, and it's not necessarily about puzzling. I'm being interviewed for that stage of being an empty nester, couple goals, retirement, and your second chapter in life. Because it is a story, and people want to hear about it. And technology is another thing. Like we're so afraid of technology in my age group, and it is an obstacle for me, but I'm definitely getting over these hurdles. It may take me longer, but I most absolutely can get over it. It's not as if I have some young savvy person, down the hall in the condo and saying, "Hey, can you help me with this?" No, it is strictly just me trying to figure it out. And everyone's just like, "Oh, you're so good at it." It's like, "Oh, you have no idea how much time I spend on here." But that's my happy place. Like I love being creative. Like it's the reason I get out of bed, because I go, I have this great idea, and I search through, oh, this puzzle will work with that. Or, I have an idea to go out for somewhere with my husband, and we do our location shoots with our puzzles. I like, we're going for a nice walk today. I go, that's the reason why I get out of bed. And I'm just so grateful for this journey that I have, because it's just been life changing for us.
Yeah, and to talk about your husband briefly, it's how are you doing the puzzles together, or is it mostly you, or how does that work?
Great question. So I want to put it out there for other couples. Give your husband a chance, because when I started puzzling, he was still working. All right. So I did do all the puzzles by myself. He's not a puzzler. He was never involved with the kids when I said that. Like, he's just not interested in puzzling. And then he retired about 3, 4 years ago, or even before that. I started getting a lot of puzzles. So when a brand would go, "Oh, we'll send you a puzzle," they wouldn't send me one puzzle. They'd probably send me their whole five collection. I'm like, "Oh my goodness, how am I going to get? I'm not a speed puzzler. How am I going to get these all done?" My to-do pile at one point was well over 30, 40 puzzles. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to get these done. And that's when he started to say, "Let me help you. I will pull out the edges. which I was very grateful for. That's a start. And so that's how he got involved in it. Now that he's retired and he sees everything that we do, and with the cruises, he most certainly helps me, but we have very unique, different styles. My husband does not like a 1,000 piece puzzle. Again, like he's older, he likes bigger pieces. He likes a smaller piece count. He'll be happy to do a 300 piece by himself. We will work together on a 500 piece, and on a 1,000 piece, he might just drop in and do a few pieces or a small section with me. We are puzzling. We're being really we're being influencers now in that I have influenced so many people in my friend group. When I became an empty nester, my friends were still working. My husband was still working. Now they're all retiring and they're like, hey, let's get together and have a puzzle. And I'm like, I'll bring the puzzle. So I know many of my friends now are into puzzling because I know that they follow me, they like my posts, and they're like, I really like that puzzle you post. Can I do that? Absolutely. I know with the events that we do, I do more than the cruising. I'm doing kids camps now. I know people are seeing my platform or just hearing about us, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to puzzle too." It's a fun thing. My sister's puzzling now. My kids, when they come over, they puzzle. My kids will borrow my puzzles for the workplace when they have their team bonding or team building meetings. I go, let me give you a few duplicates and you can do a speed puzzling round. So I know my reach is bigger than what I see.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely going to be, yeah, once you're at this level, you're definitely influencing more people than you'll ever remotely
Yeah,
actually speak to with it, which
yeah.
is just expected. I just want to talk about some of the stuff that you do post. So I've followed the account for a little while now, and some of the things that stood out to me, it was especially noticeable when I started my account, and I was trying to think of different ways to post things and try to figure out what my style was going to be. And you have to look to see what's out there as well. And yours account definitely stood out. First thing I want to talk about is the stop motion
Okay.
videos that you do.
Okay. So my stop
How
motion,
how long? Like just
I'm getting
I've
better at it.
attempted.
I'm getting better at it, so it doesn't take as long. Like before, it would take me maybe 5, 6 hours. Now I think I'm down to 2 hours or an hour and a half. Just depends on the piece count. But I know, again, in the pandemic, we all had our phones and we were scrolling, and then I would stop and I would be mindful and I would say, why did that catch my attention? And a few times it was a stop motion reel. And I was like, I would like to try that because building a puzzle is very satisfying. They're pretty, and I had gorgeous puzzles being sent to me. I go, oh, I don't want to take it out. I want to do something else with it. And the other problem was everyone else was doing the same puzzles. Those brands are smart. They'd send it out to 10, 20 puzzle influencers, and we'd all be posting at the same time. And
Yep.
you know, you look at that puzzle of the poppy once and then you see it three more times, you've stopped liking, you've stopped reading. And I was like, no, I have to come up with something else. So the stop motion was something that gravitated to me. So it was a learning procedure, a long time. I learned it. We still don't have the lighting right. We've bought a little bit of equipment, not a lot. It's still really homemade, but that was something that I liked, and I am a creative person, and I felt it was a wonderful creative outlet. Like the puzzling is very calming, and that's great, and you're stimulating your brain one side, but the creativity was nothing was happening, and I was like, I'm going to start doing those reels, and I did, and it satisfies me. If people like it, yay, that's a bonus. But that is my creative outlet. And it's the same when I do maybe a trending reel. I'll see something, I go, oh, I can change that with a puzzle theme like that. Like that's me being funny. That's me being silly. And I like that the puzzles give me that as well.
Yeah, I've tried to do some stop motion things. There's so much more that goes into it that it's hard to describe to people. It's not just moving pieces a little bit, taking a picture, and move it a little bit, take a picture. As you mentioned, the lighting is the hardest part that I've
It is.
found. Getting that done right. especially if like I'm not great with um like camera settings and stuff like that. Really, whatever my phone or is doing, that's the setting
Nice
it's
to
going to
phone.
be on. Like
Yep.
it's I
It's and
can't.
the phone, I only do it on my phone. That's the only way I know how to do it. And people go, you should get a camera. I go, well, this is just fun. I don't want to make it work and invest all this money in it. Like, I'm just having fun. But the phone is becoming a real issue because if I take 300 pictures of moving a puzzle piece around, guess what happens? My iPhone storage is full. It's not my iCloud. My iPhone storage is full and it stops, and I'm not finished the deconstruction, and I have to rebuild that puzzle and start all over. And I was like, heck no, it just doesn't happen then. So we're always trying to figure out, do I have enough storage on my phone to do this one now?
So I have I'm not an Apple phone person, not Apple really in general. So all my stuff's Android. I had a Huawei phone for the longest time, and the main reason I had them was their camera was light years
It
ahead
is.
of everybody else. But now it's next to impossible to get their phones in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to upgrade last year in the summer or change my phone. The Huawei was essentially dead to do anything except for the camera that was still going strong. So I switched. I have the new Samsung phone that was out at the time. But I really like the Huawei. So now I have two phones. Most of the recording and stuff I do, that's with the puzzles, or if I'm doing a time lapse of me putting a puzzle together, that's all done on my Huawei phone. And so that's there's no
That's
SIM
great.
card in it. It's not used for anything other than
Great.
recording puzzle stuff. So I can keep track of everything just on that phone. But there was times that, just like you said, my storage on my phones was getting way up
Yep.
there, and now I have the cloud filled. There's my laptop is filled with stuff. I have multiple hard drives, but it's just
Yep.
it's very odd how much space is taken up.
No, it's a lot to juggle, and you talk about that. Then you have the apps. So to create one of those stop motion reels, I jump in and out of probably three apps to create the reel. But I have a lot of more apps. I probably have 20 apps that are used for my puzzle reels. Well, they take up storage, and so if I did it on a second device, to transfer the photos onto the phone that has the apps, and I'm paying for the app twice now, so I have it on both phones. There's a lot of juggling that you do.
Yeah, yeah, it's all these little things that you don't really take into consideration until you have to take into
Yeah,
consideration. Yeah, like you said, paying for the different apps as well. You can only get by so long with doing the free versions, and then
yeah.
as you do more, you realize you need to change with that. So you mentioned that part of the process of this, one of the challenges, I guess, is that you're you're learning all of this
Mm-hmm.
from scratch. So is it just like, are you going through YouTube tutorials and such
Yep.
to find out how
Yeah.
to do it?
Um, I do YouTube a little bit, but on Instagram, once you start looking at, I don't know, sneakers or something, the algorithm finds you. Okay. So I may have gone to one or two creators who are always telling you, this is what you do and stuff like this. How do you get that hook idea and stuff? So they always come up on my feed. And again, if I stopped and looked at it, I'm mindful of that. What got me? Okay. And if it got me, it could get somebody else. And that's where I go. And some of these influencers, they are really good now in that they'll do a breakdown for you. They did not do that before. This is something new. And I'm like, oh, this is much better now. They'll tell you what app to use. They break it down 100%. I was like, this is much easier than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm the same. I need to sit down and watch the tutorials for most things I do. I didn't go to school or college or university to do
Yeah.
this type of stuff.
Yep.
This was not covered in any of my three
Nope.
university degrees at all. So it's those seem pointless at the moment when it comes to when it comes to doing this. But uh, yeah, it's sitting down and having to learn that. And you mentioned before, if you tried to go back and do it again, you'd have to go back and find that tutorial. I'm somewhat similar with
Mhm.
it. When I was teaching, I I wanted to learn this type of stuff, so I would put into my curriculum how Adobe Premiere Pro and how to get students to work on that, and we would just kind of learn it together. I had a green screen installed in one of my classrooms, so we could
Mhm.
work with that type of
Great,
technology, yeah,
great.
and just use some school funds to help. It
Mhm.
was beneficial for the students as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, they're going to be doing a lot more of that stuff as they get older, but it was a nice way for me to start to learn how to do all of that. It's There's different ways to learn. Um,
Well, I like it because the kids are being creative. All right, to me, this is being creative. As I get older, my doctor says what you're doing is really good for your brain to help with Alzheimer's and dementia. I know I haven't done it yet in this conversation. I might stop in mid sentence, go, I forget what I was going to say.
I'll
But
do that.
when we get older, you really need to be learning new things. And if it's new cooking skills, if it's learning an instrument, learning in a language, well, I'm learning technology. This is stimulating my brain, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't even know that was good. When I do my stop motion reels, again, someone said, you're thinking backwards when you do that. You know how hard that is? It's like Vanna White with Wheel of Fortune. She knows the alphabet backwards. And that's a skill. I go, I never thought about that. That's pretty cool.
And I think that's really good advice to anybody that, yeah, regardless of your age, but especially as you get older, doing new types of things. You mentioned learning a new language. Technology is a language.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the technical aspects that you're learning, but how to speak through social media platforms is a different way of talking to people. There's again, there's so much that's going on with it. I mentioned specifically the stop motion stands out to me. Is there a certain style of video that you really enjoy doing?
Oh, I love doing the cheeky reels with my husband, but it's limited just because I need a third person to do the camera. The tripod can only do too much, so much. I have probably 200 saved ideas, trending ideas, but I never get around to it. And then we're in a very small condo, like we have 1,000 square foot. Like it's very hard to, if you're running into a scene and then running it, there's nowhere to run to. So if I get the opportunity, if I go to visit my friend, she has a beautiful home. I go, do you mind if we do some of those cheeky videos? You be the cameraman, and I'll tell you what we have to do. I love doing that, and it has some puzzle twist or theme to it. Like I have so much fun with that because puzzling can get very serious, and I want to be very lighthearted about it. And I know with a lot of my followers, they'll go, that was my giggle today. Thank you so much. Like that was a good one. I was like, oh, great.
Does your Have you always been like an outgoing type of person like this?
I guess so. We don't change when we get older. We get worse. So I guess so.
I don't know. Sometimes you get to the point where it's like, screw it. I'm just gonna do what I want at this point and
No, no, I'm,
whatever.
I'm pretty easy. I'm pretty easy going. Yeah.
Was it when you did your started doing your first post where you appeared in the videos? Did you have to put yourself into a certain mindset? Because I know that holds a lot of people back is showing their own face. I was very much that person.
Mhm.
I'm still kind of that person. My face doesn't appear outside of the YouTube channel. It rarely
Right.
appears on the other things. Was there a moment where you're like, are we going to cross this line and put a face
Mm.
to the account?
I don't think I've been intimidated by it, but my husband most certainly is. Um, I really have to talk him into it. And he goes, well, can I be the cameraman? He's not good at being the cameraman. We have to do like 25 takes. I go, it'd be easier if I just did it. But he's very reluctant, always is. And then if we're outside and there's people walking by, he's just like, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to do this. So he is shy. He's definitely shy.
Which is understandable, but he does show up in some of the videos, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's always fun to see the two of you in those videos, and good good on him for
yeah.
doing that. Puzzling is not There's not a lot of men in puzzling to begin with. more or less. So for him to be one of those people, it's very
Yeah.
good, very
Yeah.
good to see.
And I tell him that. I go, you know what? You represent age group, and you represent a gender there. You have to, especially like a senior man. I go, you have to be out there. You're funny. You should get out there because people need to know that puzzling. There is no demographics. Anybody can puzzle. And you're right. There aren't a lot of men that do that. So I'm always trying to feature him. And he does struggle. Like I guess about a week or two ago, he did his first wood puzzle. He's always been saying, nope, nope, not. They're small pieces. I can't pick them up. I don't want to do it. He did his first wood puzzle. They're my favorite puzzles to do. And he's like, oh, I really like that. And I go, I told you you would like doing that. But he's doing something that like I guess I've talked him into it. Like I don't know if I wasn't around that he would be doing puzzling. It's something that I have influenced him on, and he's wonderful because sometimes we'll watch TV. He goes, we've watched a lot of TV. Why don't we do a little puzzle? I was like, okay, that's a change. Okay.
I just I'm sitting here doing the math in my head, and you mentioned his age, and I'm just thinking like being back in like the 1960s, would this have? There's no way to have ever predicted that 60 years on, either of you would be
No,
operating a social media account where you're doing puzzles and all these all these other things. Like people weren't even on the moon at that point yet, and you're still
no.
now you're doing all of this.
Well, it's the same with we'll segue maybe a little bit here. The cruising. I never thought that would be something, and everyone when the idea came to me, it took a long time to get that contract, that gig. Um, and I'd be pitching myself around, and it was just a matter of finding the right person that believed that it could be successful. And I finally, met up with that individual. But we were just I never imagined, we cruise anywhere, a puzzling event cruise. We cruise and bring our puzzles on board 2 to 4 times a year. We're like, could you ever have thought of that? That, we get to cruise around the world and do puzzles? No, no, we can't.
So yeah, I think that's a perfect, as you mentioned, perfect segue into the you do the cruising aspect. Can you just kind of explain briefly what the puzzle cruise is?
Is okay. So when we vacation, we cruise, and often I would bring a puzzle. And on a sea day, we would puzzle. People stop by all the time, and they admire your puzzle. They'll chat with you a little bit. And I had an idea, and at that time I think I was working at a bar, a pub, where I would bring puzzles for a happy hour, and we'd do a small speed puzzling session. This was before speed puzzling got really big. And I went, you know what, this would be a good thing to do on the cruise. Everyone's looking for something to do on a cruise. Yes, there's a lot of activities, but there's space to do puzzling. So my original pitch was doing speed puzzling. And our first cruise, we did Australia to North America, and I did speed puzzling. It has definitely changed because that format did not work. First of all, the passengers didn't like it. Like it's not all old people. I get families, I get kids, I get young people. But in general, the demographics are higher in age. And they were like, I don't know what this is, but I don't want to do it. Why do I have to puzzle against the room? I just want to sit here and do my puzzle. Why do I have to race somebody? I'm like, that's fine. You do not. So we quickly pivoted, and it was a good thing for us because if I had 6 sea days and I brought 20 puzzles of the same image, you never had a choice or anything like that. It was very limited how much I could bring because they literally come in our suitcases. So now I can bring over 200 different puzzles, and the demographics that come out, everybody wants something different. If it's a wood puzzle, and a metal puzzle, a plastic puzzle, a cardboard puzzle, a shape puzzle, I have something for everyone. They want a 500 piece, they want like a 10-piece puzzle, they want big pieces, they want small pieces. I have something for everybody. So that lesson on the first cruise was a big eye opener for us. What works on the cruise? So when we go on the cruise, and they're only for extended days. Like if you did Caribbean cruise, It's a week cruise. You're at a different port every day. Why would you want a puzzle? You're on the beach having a bucket of beer and swimming in the water. You do not want a puzzle. You come back and you nap, okay? It doesn't work. So on the extended cruises, which would be a repositioning, a transatlantic, or a longer cruise, that's where they're looking to fill in a gap for the activity staff. What else can we do? So they have enrichment speakers, somebody that comes in and lectures the passengers about any specific topic that they're good at. So that's where I come in, and I pitch the puzzles, and it worked. So they're always between 7 to 11 days that we puzzle. So they come down, and again, this is something different. We used to puzzle all day. We'd be having in the dining room, we would puzzle all day. You'd leave, you go for lunch, you'd come back, and your puzzle was still there. Like no one stole pieces. It was great. But not everybody wanted that. There's other activities that they wanted to do. And then the dining room, they want the dining room back. So now we just puzzle for 2 hours. It's on the same day, same time, and we're in the dining room, and that works very well. I only bring puzzles that people can complete. So 300 is the sweet spot. I do have a few 500 for somebody that's really good. But on a cruise, I get maybe 1 or 2 people that can do that. All right. And if you're with a family, a larger group, I would give you the 500-piece puzzle because we have to pack it up. There's no way of keeping it together, so you have to finish it. At the same time, when I do the cruising, people come in, oh, you don't have 1,000-piece? I go, no, I only do 1,000-piece puzzle. They don't realize they only have 2 hours. They leave their 1,000-piece puzzle out for 3 weeks and they finish it. So all of a sudden they're like on the timer and they're like, oh, 300 is a good piece size for me. I go, yeah, yes, it is. I talk to every guest. I listen to their puzzle skills, what I think their puzzle skills are, and I try to match them up with a puzzle. So when I get a puzzle, I will take the insert, I'll laminate it, and I put a label on the puzzle title, the puzzle brand, and the piece count. I repackage every puzzle, and it goes basically in a Ziploc bag, put that same label on there, and I put it aside. So when they come in, they have a table of all these beautiful inserts, all these beautiful pictures. And I put them by piece count, 100 here, 300 here, 500 here, 50 piece here, whatever. And if I know somebody can't see really well, I go, I think we should stick with the 50-piece puzzles. I think, you're good at that. You don't want to look at these pictures and they're like, yeah, you're right. I also have another table for all the unique puzzles, all the wood puzzles. Like, you wouldn't believe how many people don't know that there's a wood puzzle. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. So they only look at the wood puzzle table. And some puzzles are easy. Wood puzzles are easy. Some are really hard. So again, when I set them up with the puzzle, I'll walk around while they're building it and I watch them. If it's too easy for them, I know when they come tomorrow, I go, I think we're going to give you a bigger puzzle today. Let's go for the 300. Or they may have done a few 300. I go, have you ever tried a plastic puzzle? Do you want to try a really different, unique puzzle experience? And they're like, oh, okay. So just being involved with every person and trying to gauge what they are capable of doing is very important on the cruise, because the cruise does offer a community table. So there's a big 1,000-piece puzzle, but they're always missing pieces. Some people don't want to puzzle with other people. Some people hog the whole table. So when you come down to my event, you can puzzle on your own. And believe me, there's a lot of people, like their partner, maybe they're in the casino and they don't want to gamble. So they puzzled with me for 2 hours. Some people come with their families. I love seeing the families together and they're having family bonding time. Some people, all of a sudden, they've made new friends and they're puzzling together. So for me, when we do the puzzling, it's really important that I set them up for success, because if they don't complete the puzzle, and if I give them a puzzle that they're frustrated on, they won't come back. And, that's what they love. I'm telling you, by day 3, they're like, they won't look at the picture table anymore. They'll go, Monica, you picked for me. You know what I like to do. And I'm like, yes, I do. And then I'll give them some. And they love the choices. And people usually can only name one puzzle brand and they'll struggle at that one. And I go, well, I brought like 40 different brands. And they're like, what? And I go, let's try this brand over here. This is something different. So I'm opening doors, their eyes to see puzzling isn't just a cardboard puzzle anymore. There's so much out there. And at the end, two things get told to us. Why aren't you on more cruise ships? And I'm buying a puzzle when I get home. I'm going to continue with my puzzle. Like they may not do it every day or every week, but once a month they're going to puzzle because people again another thing they said I forgot I liked puzzling, and that's what I said when I started puzzling again. I forgot that I liked puzzling.
Yeah, there's I think it's a nice activity, especially for maybe the older people on the cruise to reignite that enjoyment that they got from
Mm-hmm.
puzzles. At the same time, you might also be getting people into puzzles for the first time
Mm-hmm.
without really realizing it. So you mentioned a few different demographics that showed up, but I want to touch briefly on students or kids that might show up
Mm-hmm.
for these types of activities because it's something that requires them not to be looking at a screen for an extended period
Mm-hmm.
of time. And obviously, on a cruise in the middle of the Atlantic, there's going to be challenges with operating a screen if you need a signal. But
They
it's how do you what do you have you noticed anything with children when they show up at these
I,
events?
I think it's a great question. It is. I have so many stories. It is like, first of all, the Wi-Fi package is really expensive on the cruise, so they don't get it. So they are disconnected. I have seen a mother, a single mother, who is trying to reconnect with her 14-year-old son, and they're having one-on-one time. They're down every single day. Now this young boy's up in the teen lounge afterwards. Next day, he's come down with five new buddies. The mother was so worried that he wouldn't be busy and what to do and stuff. Um, they come down every day and they puzzle, and then they love it. And in the afternoon, they do, I don't know, they're gaming or whatever else they do. But I was like, wow, that's amazing that they come down here and they egg each other on and everyone has a different puzzle project. Some of them work together, but most of them puzzle by themselves. But they liked it. And they keep coming back, and I'm like, wow, this is great. We get a lot of autistic children, people on the spectrum, just because again it's a longer cruise and a lot of them are homeschooled, so they're able to do these longer cruises. Other kids are in school. Smart as heck. I sit there and I could just watch them, and you see the wheels turning in their head, like they if they're doing by pieces, like piece shapes or colors, and they're putting that puzzle together. They don't fit in the teen lounge. All right, they don't. They're not social. So parents come. Thank you for being here. Like there would have been nothing for them to do. They come down every day. I've had two separate stories, a father and a daughter, and these daughters are in college or university, so it's their March break or reading week or whatever. And it's the same story, but it's two different people that it was repeated. I was like, wow, this is really a thing. So we're usually 10 to 12, let's say. Well, kids that age like to sleep in. They're up at the disco at night. They get out of bed for 10 o'clock to attend those puzzling sessions, and they're down there with their dad, not their mother, their dad, and they're taking hard puzzles. They're usually doing the wood puzzles because they just love it. And they're puzzling with their dad for 2 hours, and then off they go. And they're creating a bond with their dad. Like dads always work. When do they get to have this one-on-one time? It's not as if they're at the pool deck sunning themselves or reading a book. They are sitting with their dad and interacting with their dad. And the dads have come up to me and like, I didn't think I'd get to connect with my daughter again. She's all about social media and this and that. And to have this quality time with her, it's priceless. I'm like, that's so nice.
It is. It's nice to hear those types of stories because when you think of puzzles, a lot of the times, yeah, it can be a solo activity, but you can do it beside other people. Parallel play would be, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, the technical term
Mm-hmm.
for it. But yeah, hearing these types of stories where parents are getting second chances with their
Mm-hmm.
children of various ages, I think is super important to see. Are there any so that's obviously some special moments that you get to experience, and you're essentially the cause of these individuals having, or these families having the opportunity to do this. Are there any other special moments that I guess stick out to you? Because maybe someone's watching this and they want to get into organizing some of these things on other cruises, but yeah, does anything else stick out to you as something that was a special moment?
We always, on every cruise, we always have two or three stories that stand out to us. We're like, wow, did you see that couple? Um, it's it's when they leave and they come in and they say, we're gonna keep on puzzling. Like, to me, that just warms my heart when they say that. Like, I've had an elderly couple, so we did a wood puzzle that has the whimsies, and I get the extra large pieces. They're 100 pieces, so they're not so small. I also bring the regular size ones, but I usually start someone off with a 100-piece extra large wood puzzle, which are extremely popular. And there was a man, and his wife did have a dementia, and they were big travelers, cruisers. They were big cruisers. And he would come down every day. It would take him 2 hours to do that 100-piece puzzle, and he would leave all the whimsies out. And he would sit there with his wife and he'd line them up. And he goes, now that's a turtle. Remember what a turtle looks like? It has a shell and his head sticks out and he has four arms. Which one of these do you think is the turtle? And she would struggle, and she'd finally make a connection. Maybe he'd give her a hint of what color to look for. She'd pick it up and then she'd put it into the puzzle. And at the end of the cruise, he came up to me and goes, you know what? There's aren't a lot of activities that I can connect with my wife anymore. And you brought back a special moment for me. And thank you. And I thought, wow, that one's a very special story to me, because I would watch them every day. And if they came late, I would save up, because I probably brought 10 of those puzzles. I would put it under the table because he couldn't do another puzzle with her. That was the only type of puzzle that he could do with her. I'd put it on the table and save it for him, because that moment was just so endearing to me.
And there's those types of stories, you can't plan for them.
No.
They're just a result of circumstance
Mm-hmm.
taking place, and I think that's definitely a special moment to see. And you're giving people with limited time left together those
Mm-hmm.
there's still time for those special moments, I guess, which
Yep.
is important. And yeah, I don't really I don't really have anything else to add to that. It's a great story just to hear, and the fact that you kind of get two or three moments from all the cruises, it's something special that you get to take away from it,
Yeah.
which I think is important too.
Well, it just snowballs, because I have my puzzles, and every cruise, as hard as we try, puzzle pieces get lost, or you know what, they've been built too many times and it's time to retire them. So there's usually like 3 or 8 puzzles, and I make a little package and I leave them behind for the crew, because yeah, the crew has their own special lounge downstairs, but there's not a lot of things for them, and nothing gets replenished down there. So I'm just excited that the puzzles get a little bit more life with them, and the crew is always excited, like, oh, these are for the crew. Like, I could leave it up to at the community table for the passengers. Like, oh no, the crew needs some new stuff, so they get the puzzles that have the one missing piece, or are a little bit worn, and they have a little bit more of a life, and that makes us feel really good.
Yeah, and I think it's worth just highlighting that this is something that an activity that you're putting on. My mom and her partner, they do cruises every so often, and they're always telling me about the puzzle community table that seems to exist on essentially every cruise.
Yeah.
But this is something in addition to that. So
Hmm.
if so, people that have been on cruises and seen the community table, like I would probably end up at the community table, because if there's a puzzle there, I'm probably going to attempt
Of course,
to,
of
to
course.
do that. But like I'm not some I've never actually done a cruise. It's not um, just not the opportunity or the timing is right for it. But if you have something like this, where on those longer days, as you mentioned, when
Hmm.
you're crossing an ocean, you run out of stuff to do at some point. You can
Hmm.
only only be in a casino for so long, or at a bar for
Yep.
so long, or by the pool for so long, where you need to do something to stimulate your mind a
Yeah.
little bit. So I think it's great that you've seen that this is taking place on these cruises. Have you seen it pop up anywhere else?
I heard Virgin did the speed puzzling, and it's interesting. Like if the cruise ship wants to bring it on to do the speed puzzling, for me to come on the cruise ship with it's that same thing. I can't bring too many different images. I'm limited with my space, but Virgin could have 20 of the same images. It's an activity, speed puzzling for 2 hours on one of the days that they have. The next week, people get off, new people get on. They reuse the same puzzle. So I heard Virgin did the speed puzzling, and I was like, oh, one day I'd like to figure out how that works, and that would work. But again, are you monitoring the pieces that get missing? Because puzzle pieces do. I am so good. Like when someone comes down, they finish the puzzle. You can't take it apart until I come around and look at it, so I know all the pieces are there. And then together we put it back in the bag, so I know 100% that puzzle is complete. And when somebody builds a puzzle, Monica, there's a piece missing. I come over, we look at the ground. Here it is. I know that puzzle was complete. It's on the floor somewhere, so we're really good about that. So on a cruise ship, who's doing that? That's what I want to know. Those activity people are so busy. They run from one activity to the next activity to the next activity. Are they really watching what puzzles are complete? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's always I think that'd be the number one struggle with doing that. I do like how you go over to check the puzzle at the end. I've seen in a few like different puzzle swap groups and such where puzzle Facebook groups in general where people admit to before they hand off a puzzle to somebody else, they'll take one of the pieces out as a
Oh,
keepsake to say that they finished it. It just it's so frustrating to me. Go, no, sign the back of the puzzle if you really want something
yeah.
to leave your mark on it. But they take it and they say they have a collection. Like some people say they have a jar of what single pieces from all the
Oh,
puzzles they've
rude.
ever done. I'm like, that is. I have a few choice words. I'm not going to say on here for people that
Yeah.
are doing that, but that would be incredibly frustrating to me to get a puzzle.
Yeah. Well, that when we put the puzzle back in the bag, it's a great opportunity for me to get some feedback. Did you like the puzzle? Like you've never done a shape puzzle. What did you think about that? Like this was new to them. You've never done a wood puzzle. So I get some feedback, and I do work with a lot of puzzle brands, and they're very kind and generous, and they send me the puzzles that to take on the cruise. So if they come up with something that I hadn't heard before, I can send that feedback to the brand. I do build every puzzle first, just because sometimes I'm like, oh, this is way too hard. We cannot bring this puzzle. Again, I don't want someone to walk away being frustrated. So if I build it and I go, oh, this has tricky pieces, but I think people can do it. When I walk around, I go, what did you think of that part? And they're like, oh, I loved it. And at the end, I might be able to have the opportunity to tell them a little bit more of a brand. Like, did you know that this is a women owned brand, or they only have women artists, or this is a black owned brand, or whatever unique thing. This is a family brand. Whatever little trivia I know about that puzzle brand, I can share it with them. And now all of a sudden their puzzle experience means a little bit more because they've actually connected, if it's the artwork or the brand or something like that. It's not just building a puzzle and then putting it back in the box. They know a little bit more about the puzzle brand, and they're like, it's complete. And they're like, that, yeah, I like learning that. I am the connector between the brand and the person. And there's like, oh, this is like, I want to support women owned puzzle brand. And I'm like, well, here you go. Or, this is a company, they work 24/7. They can't get their puzzles on the shelf. They do all these artisan markets, and they do really well because they're all local artists. And they're like, well, I love the artwork. And I go, well, you should check them out. Like this is where they are. So it's, again, a nice opportunity just to share a little bit more, and it means more than just the puzzling that they did.
Now, this YouTube channel is more focused towards speed puzzling and that
Yep.
'cause that's what my main focus is. Do you have you ever encountered, or do you have a plan in the event it does happen? Because speed puzzling is growing at a
It's
very
huge.
quick rate around the world, and there's some very, very fast puzzlers out there. Do you have a contingency plan, or have you needed to use a contingency plan where someone can come in and blow through some of these puzzles?
Absolutely. I bring duplicates. So because I have the family, a family of four, so the one daughter will team up with the dad, and the son teams up with the mom, and they each have the same puzzle. And I go one, two, three, go. They love it. I have partners that like to race each other, the younger people, and they're really good at. I do bring duplicates, and then sometimes a puzzle is really popular, so I will bring extra copies of it. So yeah, I include that when I do my puzzling on the cruise ship.
Excellent. Yeah, because I'm someone who struggles now to do puzzles for enjoyment, where I just sit down and I casually put something together. I Everything for me is timed when it comes to puzzles. It's
Wow.
all how can I get faster? And as I continue doing all the competitions and everything else that goes along with that, and my there's a life expectancy when it comes to how long I'll be able to do speed puzzling, so I want to get as much out of it as I can. Then I'll go back to enjoyment once my hands give up. But
Well,
for now, it's do what I can as quickly as I can. So if I'm on a cruise, having that type of options nice to hear.
sure. Yeah. So I have seen speed puzzling explode, and on my feed, everyone's posting their time. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are just like so obsessed with their time and stuff like that. But it is a thing. Like speed puzzling, they had a few events. Now everyone's doing it. Like you asked about the scene in Canada. They never used to have it at bars. It's at bars. It's at game stores. It's at libraries. It's everywhere. This speed puzzling. At the same time, I thought about it. We did one speed puzzling competition, and my husband was like, "No, this is not for me." And I respect that. And I go, I don't want to make you do something that you don't want to do. Not that I'm fast either. And I was like, we will just stick with this. And the more on my feed I see people doing more speed puzzling, the more I want to just do a regular puzzle. Because there is just as big of a market for the casual puzzler that I am, or the I will call the community puzzler that I am, as there is for speed puzzling. And brands, again, that is a niche too. The speed puzzling is a niche. The casual puzzler is a niche. Seniors are a niche. Kids are a niche, all in puzzling. And I will continue staying that on that path.
Which is as you've shown with the various stories and everything that you're doing, it's an important path to
Mm-hmm.
have. We can't have everyone doing the same thing, or there's going to be so many different niches, as you just mentioned, that are going to be excluded. With what you're doing, there's so many people can feel included, whether they're fast or
Yeah,
slow or casual or whatever it might be. I think it's great to have these various options in the puzzle world, regardless of what your ability levels might
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. And the same with the speed puzzling. When someone goes to nationals, all of a sudden I have 25 of the same puzzle with different times coming on my feed. I get very bored seeing that same puzzle again. I was like, oh, first time I said, oh, that's a nice puzzle. Second time, I'm like, okay. And then after the third time, I just swipe, 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 swipe. So again, I want to, on my wall, represent as many different puzzle brands as I can, different images, just so that people know that there's lots of options out there.
Yeah, you can always tell when a speed puzzle competition has taken place because that's the entire feed for a little while. I try to delay my main feed with what I post on it because I know, oh, it's just going to get lost with the rest. I'll
Mm.
hold off a few days and then post what I need to post. But like right now, there's a virtual competition in Europe today, and already just before this recording started, going through my Instagram page, it's just yep, pictures of that puzzle over and over and over and over
Here goes
again.
again.
Going, great, I'll like as many as I can, but yeah, you do get to the point where
You do.
okay, it's I'm
But
happy
what I
for you.
like when I see that, I love the team photos, or we're all starting, and those are the pictures when those events come up. That's what I like to see, because it's just, again, puzzles are bringing people together, and for me, I think those are funner posts. to consider of different people doing goofy things with the puzzles, or these are the puzzles that I bought, or what I'm swapping with. Show me the swap table and stuff like that, because it gets boring with the time. I'm just like, oh, okay. Do I really follow anyone and see a time improvement? No, that's too much math in my head. So I wouldn't know if you've improved or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can get repetitive to a degree. With to kind of just bring everything together here, you have you're going to continue doing the cruises
Mm-hmm.
this year. You're obviously going to continue your Instagram account and other social media things that you're doing. Do you have anything in the works that you want to hint at or
Mm-hmm.
anything, or that you hope to achieve? It's still early
Oh,
2026. There's a lot of months left to go. Anything planned for this year?
I do. Like, we're always trying to branch out and be on other cruise lines. So waiting to connect with that right person. So hopefully maybe this year that will happen. But because I have a variety of puzzles from 50 pieces to 1,000 piece puzzles, I have a lot of, I'll just say junior puzzle size pieces. And where I live, I can see a kids camp. I see it every day in the summertime. And it was last summer I said, why don't I go down with my puzzles? They're always doing different activities and stuff like that. They have the tent set up. So I have been able to connect with somebody, and I started at an after school program, and I'm taking my easier puzzles for the kids. And in the summer, I'm really excited about doing a kids camp. I don't know how many times I'm going to be doing it, but my puzzles just the cruise puzzles just sit on the shelf. And I'm like, no, they need to be built again. We need to find another group. So that's what I'm going to be doing in the summer.
I love that, especially if you're able to do the puzzles outside. I love doing a
Yep.
puzzle
Mm-hmm.
outside and when it's nice weather. But that's you're getting the next generation of
Yeah.
puzzlers coming through. It's as I mentioned earlier, you're a lot of younger people are doing stuff with screens and such. So puzzles might not be their first choice, but we need that next generation coming up
Yeah.
and continuing with whether they're speed puzzlers or general puzzlers. Who knows
Who knows?
what's
Yeah.
gonna happen? So I love that seeing that
Mm-hmm.
in some summer camps, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it as well,
Oh,
or at least some of them will be.
yeah.
Some of them will. So just to kind of wrap all of this stuff together, there's just a few things that I ask everybody that's on this podcast. The first one is you're one of the few people that have appeared on here that is not a speed puzzler.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're actually the first definitive one that's not a speed
Oh,
puzzler.
okay.
I've had significant others, so like your
Mm-hmm.
husband would fall into that category where they're not speed puzzlers either, but they kind of get pulled into competitions every so
Mm-hmm.
often. But you are very much not a speed puzzler. You
Okay.
are more casual. You run the cruise activities and stuff like that. What kind of goals in a puzzle sense, or even not, fully up to you how you do this. How do you go about setting goals when it comes to these new activities, challenges that you're putting forward
Mm-hmm.
for yourself?
A goal. Okay. There was a point when I was doing this that it became work. And that's when I started to do the YouTube. And I was overwhelmed with all the puzzles that I got. And it may not be a goal, but as long as it's fun and I can be creative, I will continue doing this. When it stops being fun and getting to be too much work, that's when I will stop. That's sort of my mindset. And the same with my husband. Like he says, Monica, you've been editing that for like 3 hours. You haven't gotten out of your chair. This isn't good for you. Um, when it stops being fun, that's that will be a cutoff for us because it can very easily be consuming for us. Before we go away on a cruise, I try to make a lot of content in advance, and I'm running around. I'm like, oh, we got to build this one. Now we got to go take it on a location shoot. Now we got to do deconstruction. And he's like, whoa, like, this isn't fun, Monica. What are you doing? I go, yeah, why am I doing this again? So that's the goal for me, just to keep it in check that it's always fun.
I think that's a good goal and reminder for anybody. If it's something becomes unenjoyable that you used to enjoy, try to figure out where it's changed and kind of try to go back to it. I've had those moments with
Hmm.
this as well, where it's been like, okay, I need a bit of a break. I'm not at the point where I'm not enjoying it, so but if I take some time off, that's okay.
Good.
But yeah, once you start adding in YouTube and then there's
Yep.
Instagram and everything else, and as you mentioned, it's the editing that goes into a lot of this. Like with your stop motions, can't imagine how long that possibly takes. But anything, if it's a 1 minute reel, potentially there's hours that has gone
Yep.
into that. Then that's not even including putting the puzzle together the first time.
No, that's
Like
right.
that's
And
that's you
it's
have to
also
remember that's
following
always
up.
part of it.
It is. And then with your YouTube and your Instagram, you're still looking at other people's posts and you're liking and leaving a comment. They're leaving comments. You have to, reply, which is fine, but that's time consuming as well. And I said before when these chat groups came up, I go, oh, I cannot commit any more time on these platforms. I cut it off there. But replying to somebody and looking at what other people are doing, because I want to keep up on the trends too. Like I have noticed speed puzzling just popping. It's crazy. There are other things that are happening. All of a sudden you see a new brand, and they'll have an ad, and so they're always you'll see it on your wall, and you're like, oh, should I try this new brand? Oh, there's a new artist. I want to be relevant. I want to keep up with whatever the trends are, what people are liking. That takes time scrolling through your platforms.
Yeah, and I think that's a factor that a lot of, not just when it comes to puzzle accounts like this, but social media marketing and
Mm-hmm.
such in general. It's not just film something and post it really quick for a business.
Yep.
There's the background research, and as you said, there's trends that will come through. You have to stay up with
Yep.
with all of that. You can't do something 6 months later because no one cares at
Nope.
that point. It was just a waste of time. The second to last thing, it's so part of this channel, I'm going to change it a little bit for this, but part of this channel, there's uh, tutorial videos for people that are looking to get into speed puzzling and such. And I usually ask guests to provide me some sort of challenge that I can, or piece of advice that I can put into those videos. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to change it a
Okay.
little bit. I'm going to ask for you to give me some sort of challenge in terms of a creative video to try to
Oh, I got
post.
it. I got it.
Okay.
Oh, I should tell you right now.
Yeah.
I would love to see your followers go out, build a puzzle, go out, and rather than just taking a still picture of the puzzle that they've completed, stand behind something that's relative. Take it out on a location shoot. If let's say it's something with a totem pole, find a totem pole. Let's say it's a fruit basket. Take it to your grocery store and stand behind some fruit or something like that, and just be creative with your puzzle and show it at a different perspective.
Okay, that's quite the challenge because when you mentioned that your husband doing things in public is not something that he enjoys, I am very much in that category. I had stuff planned for when I was at the World Championships last year. It's like, oh, I'll do videos while I'm there. Like I'll walk around and talk like those influencer people that do quick videos in public.
Uh-uh.
Mortifying
No.
to me. I
Oh,
almost attempt. I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to have to do that this year. I need to move into that, whether it's at the World Series in Germany or the World Championships in Spain or the Nationals in Canada, whatever it might be. But
you'll be
it's tough.
okay. Think
Oh yeah,
about
I
a
know.
donut
I'm not
puzzle.
going to die, but it's
No.
in my mind. I think that's probably what's going to happen. So it's trying to cross and convince myself it's okay. But
Well,
we'll
I don't want them to, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. Like if you're doing a donut puzzle, stage it with some donuts around it. Just think of
yeah,
something creative. Yeah, I say
it's a
go
good
out,
one.
but if you can't go out, like if you have flowers, put some flowers around it. Like just present the puzzle something different.
Yeah, I could do like a donut puzzle at like a Tim Hortons or something. That's an easy thing to
There
do
you go. There you
with it.
go.
Well, I'll have a think about that and come up with something, but that's a good challenge. Uh, so yeah, just to finish this off, we have some quick fire questions.
Okay.
Before I go into that, just to remind everybody, where can people find your content?
Puzzled about everything on Instagram.
Excellent. I highly recommend adding to that 17,000 follower count. Uh, it's a great account to follow. But yeah, all that information is in the description below. So to finish off with the quick fire questions, just whatever comes to your mind first, all puzzle related. And here we go. Your favorite brand.
I don't have one. I can find love, a little love in every puzzle. And that's just me.
That is a fair answer, considering how many puzzles you need to take
Yeah.
onto the cruises and everything else. But I think you've shown every brand has a purpose and is
Yep.
for somebody out there. So for you, that's an acceptable answer, and I'll
Thank
take
you.
that. For the speed puzzlers, I will not. So just um, your favorite piece count for a puzzle.
1,000. My
Your
husband is
favorite
300.
your favorite cut style.
I love the wooden. I love the wooden whimsies.
Yeah, they're fun. They're tough. They're fun. Your favorite puzzle event.
Mine, my cruise event.
How could it not be? That's yeah. Your favorite puzzler.
The children. When I see somebody post a kid, and you will not see a lot of people posting kids because they shouldn't be on there. And if you see me posting of a child's face, I always ask permission. But I just love it when I see a family and they're around a table and they're puzzling together. My favorite puzzles are when I see kids puzzling.
I like that answer. Your favorite puzzle that you've ever completed.
Oh, my favorite puzzle that I've ever completed. I have one on the wall. I only have two puzzles on the wall, and this was from an Australia brand. And he did, what's it called? Steampunk art? That's what it was. It was a steampunk art from an artist, and he incorporated in a puzzle piece. So instead of six pieces, they didn't cut. So it was one big puzzle piece, and he had it signed, and it's a limited edition. And I thought that was so clever. And the puzzle was like, graffiti art that I really liked, and that's one of my favorite ones. Yep,
Nice. And it's on the wall, you said.
I did hang it on the wall. Yeah,
Nice. The hardest puzzle that you've ever done.
it was a wood puzzle of Mona Lisa, and it was probably 500 pieces, and it just sat on my table forever. All that brown and dark color, it was a killer. But I did it. I did it.
Good. Uh, your least favorite design to see on a puzzle.
Oh, I have a few. Sorry. I don't like fur. I don't like lines intersecting, and I don't like cherry blossoms, and I don't like fall leaves because it all just blends in.
The cherry blossom, all of those I agree with. But the cherry blossoms, pink flowers in general, no, not my thing in puzzles, but cherry blossoms specifically.
Yeah, I know. Why is that? Every time I look, I go, such a beautiful puzzle. I was like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, your favorite puzzle moment.
My favorite puzzle moment, I think, yeah, the first time I received a free puzzle. The brand doesn't exist anymore. It was a wood puzzle, but that they thought me worthy of sending me a puzzle. It was just it's like, wow, I made it. I remember calling my girls. I go, I got a puzzle sent to me, and I was jumping around like, oh, they gave it to me. I can't believe it. So that was an exciting moment for me.
Yeah, the first puzzle you receive, I think, is a special one. The first one that I got, that'll stay in my collection for,
There, there.
yeah, that will stay. Your favorite way to get new puzzles.
My favorite. Oh, well, I want to be very upfront. They just send them to me. It's not a hard thing. If I see something, like 90% of the time, I just have to reach out. I don't like to do that. I wait for the brand to say, "Hey, can we send you something?" I miss the swapping though. I really miss the swapping. In my small place, a puzzle comes in, a puzzle has to go out. We don't have space, so it's hard when people go, "Oh, I'll swap with you." I go, "Honey, I've done like 2,000 puzzles. I don't think you have a puzzle I haven't done."
Yeah, well, yeah, free puzzles are always great, especially if they're
Yeah,
coming from the brand. That's
yeah.
yeah. And then to the very last question, your dream puzzle that you've not done but wish you could.
Oh, so it's been created already? I keep pitching with our friends who live in London, Ontario. They have a nice big house and they have a nice big dining room table and they have huge storage in their basement that we should do one of these 9, 10,000, 17,000 piece puzzles. And every time we come, it might take us 2 years to do that. We can work on a section and I would love to do that. So I just don't have space here. Like my dining room table's glass and 2,000 pieces where it was hanging over. So I would really like to do a big puzzle one day.
Yeah, I think that's a it's a popular answer for a lot of people, and it usually comes down to the
Mm-hmm.
space issue for it. But those are all great answers. Thank you so much for doing this. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I hope you continue doing the cruises and your Instagram account for as long as you possibly can.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I wish you good luck with your YouTube channel. I think from what I see, that is the place to go. There's a lot of people, they're starting it, but then they don't follow through. They don't continue with it. I do think there's a lot of room to do more on YouTube with puzzling.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll keep doing this as long as I find it enjoyable.
There you go. I like that answer.
Thank you so much, and it was lovely speaking with you. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks.
All right, YouTube. Bye bye.
Bye.